During May 2014, I met with Jonathan Ward from Icon 4x4 in California. Jonathan is the CEO and lead designer of Icon, one of the few automotive companies that can deliver exactly what you want. There are scores of films that will inform, thrill, and set your imagination alight when it comes to the Icon product. I wanted to chat with Jonathan and discover what kind of attitude and outlook it takes to produce such a high level of work. What follows is a recording of our chat. I hope you enjoy.
I have not been trained officially by anyone. I have no degrees. I have nothing but an opinion. And cars have always been my passion, as has design in a greater sense. So literally, this brand is just a manifestation of my interests, my passions, and my discontent with the way the industry has been doing it, and I just went for it. So started taking cars apart and putting them back together when I was about 15. Originally doing them just as the factory did it to perfection, till I kind of got bored with that and started asking, well, just because that's the way they did it doesn't mean that has to be done again, both in integrating modern technology and more evolved solutions, plus artistically getting a little more creative to take liberties with materials and colors and coatings to just keep it more dynamic, more interesting, more unique. Probably a 1946 Chevrolet pickup truck. It's the one that's got that front grille, kind of like a Wurlitzer jukebox. So I found a really good original one. I was going to restore it stock, and a friend of a friend of a friend owned one. So I drove out to see him, and he let me take it out for a drive. And after like 2 miles, I was like, it's beautiful, but this sucks. You know, it doesn't steer well, stop well, accelerate. And, you know, it just was archaic. You know, which is again in '46, great, that's fun, but that's not what we're dealing with today. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll change this, maybe I'll change that. And then one thing led to another, and I changed everything and put it all back together. And some things I did worked out, some things I didn't. Some things I did not work out. But that was probably the beginning of the end for doing things as they were. I mean, every car that we build today, even, you know, we're learning new tricks, new solutions, new technology to integrate, you know, playing with all these the different varieties, especially with these derelicts and reformers that we do, these one-offs. You never know what the next guy is going to want to do, or what I'll cook up on my own to want to realize. So playing with different powertrains, different electrical systems, different surface coatings, different materials. It's endlessly learning and adapting, which is, you know, without that it would kind of suck, it'd be kind of boring. Started to make a fair amount of money, just like cash on the side, no dealer's license or professional shop at first, just out of my 2-car garage at the house. Just buy it, have a vision, and everyone's like, why did you buy that thing? You know, but I could see it. So build it to my vision, sell it, make a tidy sum off of it, then take that sum, split it, go buy 2 more and realize those, and then just keep going. Probably my biggest weakness, though, is when I'm done, 90+% of the time, done, drive it for a couple weeks, that's it, that's all I need. If I could just run it off a cliff like the Indians with the buffaloes, and somehow there'd be another buffalo to build, that'd be fine with me. So customers and sales are like, I wouldn't say a necessary evil, but a necessary tool that allows me to be the geek that I am and keep moving on.
It's a trade-off, but ultimately
yeah, I mean, if I won the mega lottery tomorrow, I'd be happy never to sell another car. Well, my family was a little pissed off because I had a established and successful career path that I started to ignore when I started to pursue this, and more so when I decided that this is no longer qualifies as a hobby and need to get licensed and be proper and make a professional go at it. They thought I was stupid, insane, or both. And then my peers, I mean, they were all designing car geeks, so they were right there with me and dug it. I think they questioned, how do you make a business out of your passion without polluting the passion or losing the passion when it becomes a job? And then B, is it a business model that could suffice to take that extra time, push the limits, and try novel approaches versus opening catalogs or going on Google and ordering what everyone thinks is perfectly fine because it's been selling and no one else has complained loudly. Well, to this day, I guess you could say a mistake that at the same time has kind of become key to our relative success is following my passions to an extent of, if I'm entertaining 2 or 3 different concepts for a new product or something that we're going to spend thousands of hours on, I'm just barely starting to be a proper businessman about that decision and pick the one that makes the most sense to the business versus picking the one that the child in me gets the most excited about. That, and I think I spent too long trying to wear too many hats and growing and running the company. Fortunately, since day one, my wife, Jamie, partnered with me on it. Without her, I couldn't have done any of it. But at the same time, trying to be on the floor welding and building the vehicles, researching the parts, sourcing the vehicles, handling logistics, sales, web design, marketing, copywriting, trademark, legal, like trying to wear too many hats, which is obviously a common theme amongst us starving small business owners. But I think that if I had played it forward early on and following the ethics of Napoleon Hill and built a master alliance sooner, I would have achieved greater success. So had I been more structured about opportunities and picked the ones based on the P&L more, and have built a corporate team earlier on, I think the brand and my career and my wealth would be at greater stages. But we figured out first a mission statement to communicate with the public to help them get their heads around what we do. So that was simply classic transportation design revisited in a modern context. Then we started working on something to put up on the wall in the shop to make sure that the staff understands the message. But I'm so involved and out there on the floor all day, they get it and they know it, but we're working on that one. Be proud of what you do or don't do it. Challenge convention. Set new standards for innovation and quality of fit and finish. Nothing leaves until all are pleased, despite any short-term pressures, which is key. Always look forward. What's next? Product first, then people, then profits, and passion in all products. That's what I got so far. That's my working draft. When I speak to design colleges and groups or whatever, a big thing with me is respect your perspective. You can have an education, you cannot have an education. You can be born into the right connections, you cannot be. You can be in a third world country or first world, but the opportunities abound. And the greatest thing that any of us bring to the table is a natural opinion or perspective on the world, people we interface with, and everything tactile around us. Product first, people second, profit third. If a client engages with a project and they present what they want to do in specific or loose terms, if we're at that juncture not yeah, that'd be cool to build, we'll pass. Because then at the end of the day, if I don't love what I'm doing every day, I'm not going to be any good at it. So yeah, everything's no compromise, the best it can be, and that means I have to turn down a lot of jobs because a lot of people, our pricing is asinine. It's expensive to do what we do in California. Mm-hmm. So if I were to get into that price model, like we were talking earlier, the guy down the street selling used tires for $10, if I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to sell it for $9, I'm going to lose. Because the guy in Kansas or in China or wherever is going to have that model more efficient and he's going to beat me out every time. But we have a saying, RTFM, my favorite acronym, read the manual. So we've they're custom built vehicles, but the production models that we do, there's a consistency, there's a formula. So we have 400 page manuals down to torque spec, order process, tool list, do's and don'ts, and watch out fors and QC measures. And if a technician changes that because he suddenly thinks he has a better idea, then we have a problem. Anyone on my team can come into my office or pull me aside when I'm out there, and they can share their idea. We have team leaders, and then we have team meetings, then we have company-wide meetings monthly, we have team meetings weekly. And those, the idea was to create the forum where we invite their input and incite them to question and think and come up with new ideas. And a lot of our better ideas and newer efficiencies have come from that. So yeah, I like to think I'm really open-minded. Mickey Drexler, who was one of my first customers with the TLC brand and has continued to support Icon. He was key behind the growth of Banana Republic, Old Navy, and the Gap. And he just gets it. He's a super smart guy. So like when I built the very first Icon prototype and then went back to add up what it cost, oh shit, no one's going to buy this. What am I going to do? Do I use fiberglass instead of aluminum? Do I use a cheaper motors with a carburetor? All these things I don't want to do, but I was worried about it as a new brand. Mickey was the first guy I called, and I explained my conundrum, and he said, well, stick to your vision or it's nothing special and you're not going to care and that's not how you work. And Mickey's been instrumental. Same with Johnny Ive at Apple, who's become a friend and a repeat client. His clarity of vision for their company, compounded by the perversion of the great resources of that company, I find very inspiring. Tinker Hatfield at Nike has become a friend of the brand, and Nike's become a great development partner for us. I have a great respect for him as well as the entire company, of how such a huge international company can still be driven by core values that really matter at the end of the day versus falling into that business structure rut that I see so many companies falling into. The gentleman behind Mahindra out of India, I've never met him, I'd like to, but I have a great respect for how he runs his companies, and the ethics that he applies in industry is quite novel. So right now the backlog for our products is 1 to 4 years. I lose sales every day. People go, oh yeah, but I have the money.
So somebody turns up to blank check this afternoon and they want it in their driveway.
I can't deliver. So, okay, yeah, I'm capitalistic, like I said, so great, let's scale this bugger and let's increase our output. But doing that in an industry that's not used to it is quite difficult. Fortunately, our reputation is strong enough that we've been able to court and embrace partners that are very high end, very high volume, who go, okay, we understand financially this will never make any sense for us, but we believe in your brand, we believe in what it stands for, and we want to be a part of that. So it's getting easier for us, but at the end of the day, how we build is, a mishmash of very high technology with very old processes. So it's just not very scalable. So I think the challenge for me as a business owner now is to hopefully quadruple our scale over the next 3 years, but realistically that's probably about the cap of it. So then with my business hat on, what's next? How do we protect that, keep that, continue to do it the way we've been doing it, but leverage the value of the brand, the ethics of the brand, come up with other products that don't dilute the brand, but are more scalable from a business sense. And I'm probably greatly concerned by the lack of ethic in business. The way big companies cock block and ruin small companies because of fear. The way designs are copied, stolen, taken overseas, dumbed down, and brought back to market. I've had so many of my designs stolen, and these companies, even when I know the CEOs, will look me right in the eyes and go, yeah, that's business, sorry. Don't charge me $400 for a trademark, dear American federal government. Charge me $30,000 for my trademark. but provide me with resources to protect American industry and design and distinction, protect my mark, protect my brand, protect my interests, protect my ethics, and it's just not there anymore. I've had big companies blatantly copy or steal from us, and we'll start trying to have a discussion with them, which goes nowhere. So then we have to have a legal discussion with them. There's a huge toy brand that stole my trademark, my trade dress, and my copyright. Denied it at first until we showed them an image that we own of me in a vehicle jumping in Mexico that just we then layered to their press release of their new toy car that came out. And it's my image that they just color washed over. So then finally they're like, yeah, okay, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. So give us 30 days and we're going to study the market, how many are in distribution, how many have been sold, and we'll make right by you. To then 30 days pass by, I had to fire up the meter with the lawyers again to get a reaction out of them again. This time they said, yeah, we looked into your little company, we Dun & Bradstreeted you, you're nothing. Go for it. You think we did wrong? Sue us. We're huge. We'll bankrupt you in discoveries. Go for it, son. And it's just, think what that's doing to squash innovation and evolution of products and services around the world. When that's the mentality, that's what's out there.
That's what's acceptable.
That's what's acceptable. It's an atrocity. Really, those core ethics are my mantras. So like, respect your perspective, and only do it if you're going to be proud of it. I've been just thrilled and honored since day one that I was able to do something I really care about and to employ so many people. The fact that we're able economically to contribute without being whores makes me very proud. And just the fact that for such a small company, for so many people to know who we are and what we do just thrills me to no end. Well, back when I tried to call this a hobby and I was doing it out of the house, I bought another crappy old Land Cruiser from some old guy. And as I was towing it out of the garage, they had a whole bunch of other crap that I guess they couldn't sell to idiots like me, waiting with the trash cans, and there was an old fireplace screen, and there was a lizard on it. So as I went by, I noticed the lizard, and I was like, this is a real lizard. And I said, no, it's not real, it's brass. Oh, that's really cool. So I stopped and I went back to the guy. I said, you throwing that out? Can I have that? And he said, sure. So cool. So I grabbed it, took it home, took a torch to it to heat it up to get the crusty nuts off, and I saved the old brass lizard. So for many years, he was just sort of my totem. I would always apply him to the car I was rolling, and it was just kind of my thing. So then when we were defining Icon, my wife came up with the name Icon, and then the lizard, I just had such a connection to him that then I kind of made up a story to define him as relevant. So when you're four-buying in Southern California and you're well beyond where all the production vehicles and a lot of home-built modifieds can go, and it's just you and your Icon, it's highly likely the only other thing scampering around on the rocks is a California blue-belly lizard, which is what he is. So they're under the radar, they're highly adaptive, they're very capable. Ta-da, that's my story. Or that's the official story, but the true story is I just liked them. So right now, and it changes often, but one I've kept for many years is the first Derelict. So I have a 52 DeSoto.
Is that one that was in the shop?
Yeah, so it's parts and pieces. It's a 52 DeSoto and a 52 Chrysler Town & Country mashed together, so an Icon Derelict station wagon. And then a 993 bi-turbo for the yang to that yang. So that's my current balance.